Hi, welcome back to Happy Apple Core Homestead. Today we're going to make jalapeno jelly, and I have here in front of me a 1.5 pounds of jalapenos. We've got some liquid pectin, and for this recipe you are going to need the liquid version. We have some apple cider vinegar, and we have some sugar. Jalapeno jelly can also be made with honey, although I'm not going to go over that recipe today. I may do it for you again in the future. If you're going to do honey, you'll need Pomona's pectin, so just keep that in mind. But today we're just going to do the standard, regular, run-of-the-mill jalapeno jelly that everybody loves to make because it is so good. I personally like to use it when I'm making beef or chicken. I like to use it as a marinade, but it's wonderful, you know, with your crackers and with some cream cheese. It's good for that too. It's spicy and it's sweet. There's a lot of sugar in this recipe. The first step is to get these clean. We're also going to cut the ends off, and after that I will take you over to the other counter and we'll get the food processor out. Our jalapenos are nice and clean. The ends are cut off. We have a pot here that's just chilling out. You are going to need a bigger pot than you might think because the sugar and everything, it just does tend to bubble up a little bit. So even though this pot looks probably too big for the job, I think it's going to be just right. Over here we have a food processor, and we're just going to put these jalapenos right into the food processor and give them a really good chop. We want them to be pretty finely chopped. And that's what they look like. You can de-seed your jalapenos if you want to, but I like to leave them in. And then you're gonna put all of that right into your pot. And once we get all of these done, I will come back with the next step. Here we have all of our finely chopped jalapenos, and we're going to want to add the sugar, and we will need 12 cups. And then we need 4 cups of apple cider vinegar. Then we're going to turn this heat on a medium, give it a good stir, and we're going to let that sugar dissolve, and we're going to bring this up to boiling. Once it gets up to a good boil, we're going to keep an eye on it and let it boil for 10 minutes. This has been boiling for 10 minutes, and this is why you can see how the foam comes up really high. That's why I say to use a bigger pot than you need, because half of this is just boiling foam. I'm going to turn the heat down just a little bit so I don't have to keep stirring it to prevent it from bubbling over. And we're going to add in 4 packages of the liquid pectin. And each of these packages are 3 ounces. So we need 12 ounces altogether. Give this a good stir. Bring it to a nice hard boil. And we're going to hold it there for 1 minute, and then we'll take the pot off of the heat. This has been boiling for 1 minute, and it's time to turn the heat off and take this off the stove. Just gonna set this right over here and let the bubbles come down, and then we will get the jars filled. Time to fill the jars. We have a bubble popper here, we've got a funnel, and we have a wet paper towel to clean the rim. Outside of your view here, I do have clean lids. And we're just gonna go ahead and fill these jars. It's pretty hot, so be careful. I don't know why I'm not using my funnel. How about we use the funnel? That's why we have it. We're going to leave a 1/4 inch headspace. It's pretty close to the top there. Okay. All right. So that's about a 1/4 inch headspace there. Maybe I could add a tiny bit more. There we go, even better. Then we'll take our bubble popper and just swoosh through it like that. And we'll take our wet paper towel and clean the rim. And we'll put our lid on. And then the ring. Just finger tight when you're putting your ring on there. Then I'm going to set this aside, and when all of the jars are full, we will fill our canner and get that process started. I got 14 half-pint jars from that batch, but my canner only holds 13 jars, so I am making another batch a little bit later, so I'll just put that other jar in with that one. But now we need to get the canner filled with water. These are hot jars, and so we're going to be using hot water to fill the canner. And you want to fill it up 1 to 2 inches above the top of the jar. That is enough water, so let's move this over to the stove. Here we are on the stove. I've got this cranked up pretty high. Since everything is hot, it's okay to put the burner on high just to get it going a little bit faster. If this was cold, a cold situation, cold jars, cold water, I heat it up real slow. But with this, we can go ahead and crank it up and get her going quick. I'm also going to set my lid here on the top. I'm not gonna lock it or anything. I am using my pressure canner as a water bath because it holds more jars, but it's not necessary to use this. You can use your regular old water bath canner that you have at home. When this gets up to a full rolling boil, we will start the timer for 10 minutes. We are at a full rolling boil. I'll let you see what that looks like. If you can see in there, but you can definitely hear it. It's not just a simmer, it's really going. And so we're gonna set our timer for 10 minutes. When that goes off, I'll be back. Our timer has gone off, and it is time to turn off the heat and remove the pot from the burner. And then we will remove the lid. Okay, and then we're gonna set a timer for 5 minutes. It's been 5 minutes, and it's time to take these jars out. Try not to tip them. And you want to set them on a couple of towels so that you don't get any thermal shock, especially if you've got a tile countertop like I do. Now we're just going to let these jars sit here. They are going to set up and seal over the next 12 to 24 hours, and I will be back tomorrow. It has been overnight. These are all cooled off. They all set beautifully, and we want to make sure that they are sealed. So the first thing we're going to do is remove the rings. I do not store my canning jars with the rings on. For lots of different reasons. One, they can rust on, they can get stuck on with food or the sugar that's on here. Also, you can get a false seal. So if this or anything you can was to go bad, the seal would come unstuck and the food would start to ferment and it would start to bubble out, and then you would know it was bad. But if your ring is stuck on, then that lid can't move. And then will get like a food stuck underneath the ring or underneath the lid, and you'll think that it's sealed when it's really not. Anyways, I get lots and lots of comments on my video on how to remove a canning lid, but a lot of them are talking about how do I get the ring off? For those of you who are giving away your canned goods or you're selling them at fairs, I really don't recommend that you give it to them like this with the ring on, but give them the ring with the jar, right? So they know to store it, you know, without the ring, but they will be able to use the ring to get the lid off. Once your rings are off, you're going to want to make sure that all of your jars are sealed. I do a tap test first. Okay, that sound, when it sounds like a nice good ping, that is the sound of a jar that is sealed. If it has a dull thud, it is most likely not sealed, and that exception would be pie fillings and applesauce where the food bubbles up and gets under the lid. So even though you do the tap test, you're also going to want to just lift up on your jar lids a little bit and make sure that they don't slide off. If they're not sealed, they're gonna come off. Okay, these are all sealed, and now we want to make sure that they are all clean. So get a wet paper towel and just clean around the rims. You're gonna wanna make sure that there was no, sugar or syrup or any other kind of food on here that can rot or spoil or otherwise make your jars unsightly and unseemly and unappetizing. When your jars are clean, you'll want to put a label on them. I use dissolvable labels because it's easy to get them off so I can reuse my jar once I empty it. And you're going to want to put what is in the jar and the date. So that's what I have here. And that's all there is to it. We've got lots of jalapeno jelly. This jelly is extremely spicy, extremely spicy. You can use jalapeno jelly a lot of different ways. I think I might have mentioned it earlier, but I'll just run through a few again. You can use it as a marinade for your meat, which is what I do. And when you do that, you'll just take one jar, mix it in with some water and pour it over your meat, put it in your crock pot and let it cook all day, and it will be delicious. You can also use it as a dip for like a appetizer board or something. You can put some cream cheese on a plate, pour this right over the top. People can dip their crackers in it. That is delicious. And in the same vein, the way the cream cheese tempers the spiciness of the jalapenos, you could also melt some of this and pour it over your ice cream. I know it sounds weird, but don't knock it till you try it, you guys. It's really good. You can also use it as you would any other jelly. So on your peanut butter and jelly, on your waffles, on your pancakes, on your toast, whatever you use any other kind of jelly for, you can also use the jalapeno jelly. It's just a savory jelly, but it does have some sweetness to it. If you are dying to make a jalapeno jelly, but you do not want it to be as fiery as I promise you this batch is, you can remove some of the pith. A lot of people say that it's the jalapeno seeds that make the jalapeno spicy, but it's actually not. It's the white pith on the inside of the jalapeno. The more of that you remove, the more spice you take away from the pepper. I obviously included all of that goodness in mine, so mine is very, very spicy. And that's it for jalapeno jelly. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments. I've got a lot of good stuff coming up for you. If you have questions about how to make this recipe with honey instead of sugar using Pomona's pectin, let me know and I'll give you the recipe down here. I don't know that I'm gonna do a batch of that this year for you, but if you want the recipe, I'm happy to share it with you. Behind me here, I have another batch going. So this here is double what we did yesterday. Just so you know, I did tell you earlier how many jars I got, and the recipe will be down in the description box, but this is 2 batches, and then I'm doing another 2 batches today. I still have like 4 gallons of jalapenos down here at my feet that I picked the other day, and I'm going to probably pickle the rest of those. And if you want to see that video, I'll link it up here if I didn't already link it in the beginning of the video. All right, I have got to get back to work, so I will see you soon. For those of you who are following my garden tours, the October garden tour will be coming out super soon. I'm hoping to do it this week. So today is the weekend, and in a few days I should have that for you. All right, gotta run. Bye.